Hello and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle, up to the top of a snow-capped mountain and on country trails. Watopia is where the Zwift developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Hello and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle, up to the top of a snow-capped mountain and on country trails. Watopia is where the Zwift developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Hello and welcome to this Zwift Run live stream. My name is Stephen. I'm a Zwift ambassador, a community run leader and your host today. There's a countdown clock up there showing how long to go before the start of the main event, so you've probably got time to tidy the kitchen, take the trash out and grab yourself a drink before we get going. If you've never seen Zwift before, it's an online game where athletes from all over the world train, compete against and socialise with each other live and in real time. All you need to take part is a foot pod, an internet connection, access to a treadmill and a device on which to run the Zwift app. You can use a computer, an iPad, an iPhone, a high-end Android device. Zwift even works on Apple TV. If you have a smart treadmill, you don't even need a foot pod, as your treadmill will send your speed direct to Zwift. Once you've logged in and made sure your equipment is connected, you can join others live for structured group workouts or social runs. You could do a solo workout or take part in one of the many in-game challenges. You could also pit yourself against people from all over the world in a race. There are various Zwift worlds. Some are based on existing places like London, New York, Innsbruck, Richmond, Virginia and Harrogate in the UK. But the biggest world is the fictional Watopia, where you can run in glass tunnels underwater, through the middle of a volcano, in a jungle, up to the top of a snow-capped mountain and on country trails. Watopia is where the Zwift developers let their imagination fly. Like any computer game, the more you run, the higher up the levels you climb and the more virtual goodies you require. If you're a regular treadmill runner, Zwift is going to transform your training. If you're a hater, Zwift is going to change the way you think about indoor running. Before we go any further, if you're watching on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you're notified every time we go live on this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, please click the like button on the Film My Run page. Film My Run is also my other YouTube channel where I post real world runs, so if you're interested in marathons, ultra running, 10Ks or triathlons, you'll find product reviews, interviews and races over on that channel. I've been running all my life. I started running long distance races in 2011 when I ran my first half marathon, and that was followed a year later by my first marathon in Paris. I've run the Paris Marathon every year since and have now run well over 100 marathons and ultras. I started using Zwift at the beginning of 2015 when indoor cycling and smart trainers really took off. In the early days, I held the long distance record for cycling of 500 kilometres on Zwift for about 48 hours. And when running started in 2016, I was the first person to run a marathon on Zwift. So if you have any questions about Zwift, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. Okay, so now you can go and take the trash out and get that drink. And make sure you keep an eye on that countdown and be back in time for the start proper. Well, go on then, don't just sit there gawping at me. Basically, this message is going to go around in a loop again and again until the start of the run, so you may as well go and do something constructive in the meantime. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Film My Run on Zwift. My name is Stephen Cousins and we are broadcasting live on Facebook and on YouTube. While we're getting everything ready, it would be absolutely awesome if you could go and subscribe to the Film My Run YouTube channel and also the Zwift Live YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/filmmyrun and also Twitter at filmmyrun, and the website is www.filmmyrun.com. It's very nearly time, so sit back, relax, don't forget to drop me a ride on and watch me do all the hard work. Sarah Jacobson, the answer to your question is essentially no. We do actually have a new TV that we can use. So an old second-hand TV that we could use, but it actually doesn't fit in the room very well. What we need is something small and easy to use, but big enough for Victoria to see. Now, it only really matters on the interval sessions. Tonight is just an easy run. We're going at 9 kph, by the way, tonight. Hello, everyone. The Beacon group will be going at 9 kph. Hello, Dan. Dan Mapp has joined us to say hello. And Yoko is there. Hello, Yoko. Thank you very much again for your support. Clive Finnemore can't join us tonight. He says I just got back from a run outside and found the wine rack has fallen over. Oh no! In the porch, glass and wine everywhere. Time to get the mop out. I'm not going to say that. Right, I'm not going to say what Victoria just said.
Hello, Clive. I was just wondering if Lucy was on the floor with the wine.
Oh, sorry. Just dropped Victoria's drink on the floor. You are moving. You are moving. Don't know about your heart rate. We've got 46 seconds now. Victoria's now panicking. So that's that. You are connected. Yes, you are. There you are. Look, there you are walking. There you are. Okay. Victoria just said I could get rid of her. What do you mean? I'm intrigued. Right. Unfortunately, Lucy wasn't on the floor. Right, we're off in 10 seconds. 9 kph for the Beacon group tonight. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get going. Did one of your many animals knock over the wine rack, Clive? Jan Bishops, hello. Says hi. Lee Walker, hi all. Hello, Lee. Nice to have you with us. So Sarah Jacobson, look. Sarah Jacobson is in the run. It's a miracle. Sarah Jacobson has recovered from the Disney Challenge and Sarah Jacobson is running. We've got Ian Balshaw with us as well. Amy Green, Paul Hayward. Who else have we got? Elgar. Elgar's running as well. Very nice. I hope we get a bit of music while we're running. Sarah Jacobson says, yeah, probably just for 30 minutes today, but I am here. Good stuff.
Stephen and I will be running for 65 minutes tonight at 9 kilometres an hour. Last week was 60 minutes. This week, 65 minutes. Next week, 70 minutes. It's our second run of the day. Did a very muddy, fun park run today in Croydon, which is outer London. No, we will not be running at 20 kilometres an hour. You can still do engine noises for extra boost. Clive's wine rack fell off the wall.
Nice to have Paul Doyle back with us in the run as well. Good to see you, Paul. Jackie Ramos is running. Tom Cool is running. Yoko is there. Hello, guys. Nice to see so many friendly, well-known faces, and nice to see some names that I don't recognise as well. Always good to have new people running with us. Clive, what running shoes have you just broken in? And are they for the Arc of Attrition? Hello, Jeff. He says, good evening, team. So Jeff is probably sitting somewhere in a bar, trying to calm his nerves, ready for his 268-mile jaunt across the Pennines tomorrow. Yeah, he has passed kit check. That is a long way to run, says Sarah Jacobson. Yes, I imagine he'll be walking a lot of it. I imagine he will be walking quite a lot of it. I imagine. Dan Mapp did parkrun this morning, as did we. He says a wet and windy day for it. Yeah, we did parkrun. We did Lloyd Park, or Lloyd Parkrun, which is in Lloyd Park. See, I was saying this morning it should be called Lloyd Park Run, but apparently it's just called Lloyd Park Run. Anyway, it was very wet, windy and muddy at Park Run this morning, but we got it done. Another 5k in the bag, a good hard effort as well. Jeff is in the van, just had a snooze. Something to eat now and a very early night starting to get nervous now, says Jeff.
Jeff, we're not going to have any of this you making me have van envy malarkey. Again. Just pretend you're in some hovel of a bed and breakfast. Thank you. Liston South Nata, not sure how to pronounce your name. Welcome to our channel. I hope you're enjoying it. He's tuning in from Germany.
I'm gonna make a guess at Houston Salvermicher from Germany. That's my guess at pronunciation of your YouTube name. Right, Clive Finnimore has bright blue Speed Goat 5s, which he has just broken in time for the Arc of Attrition 100-mile race, which he takes on in 2 weeks' time. I don't know. Is that your second pair of Speed Goat 5s, Jeff? Clive? Dan Matt did Bideford Park Run. And he says, good luck, Jeff. So if anybody wants a massage, whereabouts are you, Dan, again? Go and see Dan Mapp and physio, work. Dan will sort you out, and Dan is also a very fast runner and has taken part in a number. When we were in lockdown, Dan was on Zwift all the time with us. So it was nice to see you again, Dan. So we're comfortably heading through the France course. So we do our interval sessions on a Wednesday on the Paris course. But this is the France course, which is actually a different... I know you would think that Paris would be in France, but they are two separate courses on Zwift. So we are on the France course now, which is a kind of amalgamation of a number of different places in France. So you can't run this in real life. You can run bits of it separately, but you can't run it as it is on Zwift. It's kind of made up from lots of different places in France. Anyway, we're running for an hour and 5 minutes, so we're up to, we're nearly at 10 minutes, 9 minutes now, and we're going at 9 kph, so nice and easy. We should do about 9.5 kilometers by the time we've finished. And this is just building our base aerobic fitness for whichever spring marathon you have. And we called it the Paris Marathon training series, and that's just because there's a few of us going out to Paris to run the Paris Marathon. But whatever spring marathon you're training for, you can come and join us on these runs. Wednesday for the interval training, and Saturday for the long run.
So Stephen will be running Paris Marathon. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be doing Paris, Boston and London in April.
Lazy.
My first marathon major, and I've got 2 of them. Lee Walker is chilling with Campos at 5:30. Amy can't make it this Wednesday. That's a shame, Amy. Hopefully you can join us again week after. You really are doing great. Tina is asking about camera 7, Stephen. Oh, he's literally just put it on. Apparently he saw your message. Dan Matt says, thank you. I'm based here in North Devon. Massage. Go and check Dan out. He misses the days I could join him more. I will return again. Dan, it's just nice that you've tuned in tonight. Hope to see you on Zwift soon. Lee Walker is asking, what elevation do you run at? I read the My Run is quite close at 0% compared to outside. Well, there's a thing, Lee. So on the My Run, we run at 0%. I'm running on the Noble Pro tonight. We have been running on that with our Zero shoes. However, I've just discovered that within the last 2 weeks, Stephen has taken them off. So I am running at 2% tonight. So Lee traditionally runs at 1%. Well, on the My Run, when we run at 0, it really does match our efforts outside. In all honesty, I would just leave it at 0. If you're doing a specific session with elevation, then I would put it on.
Yeah, basically what Victoria says. So, if you're doing an elevation session where, a hill session, then obviously you're going to use elevation on the treadmill. However, especially at this speed, it's the 1% thing is a bit of a myth, really. But people still abide by it. People still run at 1% because they've seen an article from many, or like a rewriting of some research that was done back in, was it 1994? Anyway, a long time ago. Somebody will correct me soon about exactly when the research was done, which showed that faster runners, running at 1% incline on the treadmill will more realistically match your outdoor running. But for anyone running slower than 4-minute kilometers, it really makes no difference. I think it was 4 minutes. Again, please don't quote me on this. Try and find the research yourself. I can't remember exactly the details of it, but essentially faster runners, perhaps, yes, it does make a difference But slower runners, anyone normal speed running, 1% doesn't really make much of a difference in terms of your biomechanics or wind resistance. John Farrell says, evening all. The Noble Pro is a default at 2%. So, what for you? Because of the... Yes. So, yeah, Victoria's saying that because the Noble Pro is slightly easier to run on in general, putting it at 2% maybe does, in fact, mimic outdoor running a bit more. Viking Ocean says, how long is the run? So we're running for 65 minutes. So what we're doing here is base aerobic training for a marathon. So as well as doing fast interval sessions and maybe some tempo work, you need to do these long, slow runs. Now, outside, you would probably need to run for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours even, at a nice slow pace. On the treadmill, we're not going to go quite that long. So we're just going for 65 minutes today. And then next week we'll go for 70 minutes. So we'll add 5 minutes every week for the next 10 weeks. Our last run in training for the Paris Marathon will be 2 hours. Who's this? Okay, how do you guys usually fuel during long runs? I always go for baby food as a safe bet, as it's designed for delicate stomach, at least I assume. Yes, so that's a very good starting point. So baby food, I used to use baby food a lot, even in races, because it's easy on the stomach. And if you get something like the porridge and rice, and banana and rice or banana and porridge, baby food, it's got good slow release carbohydrates in it, and that can fuel you very well. And Victoria was a fan of that as well. However, in recent years, I mean, there's a difference between men and women, I think, but I've become more fat adapted. So I actually don't need to eat very much on a long training run. Long races are different. You do need to keep eating on a race, say a 50 miler or a 100 miler. But for training runs, you know, anything over 15 miles, 15, 20 mile training runs, I tend not to eat anything at all. Victoria will often take a few bars with her. One bar, like what kind of bar would you take? Flapjack or something like that. A flapjack bar. Because Victoria says she definitely needs to eat something during the run. But I can often go 20 miles training on just water. Lee Walker says, I like the Morton gels, but I agree. When I was on keto for 18 months, I hardly needed any carbs. I mean, I'm not keto, but my body knows how to burn fat. So, Sarah Jacobson says she uses Morton gels as well. She loves Morton gels. I don't really get on with Morton gels. I think the texture is a bit weird. And they made Victoria's stomach turn. But you know what? You have to find whatever works for you. So it depends on your constitution, on what things you like, what things your stomach doesn't turn on. Sarah Jacobson takes Morton gels with water, which she says helps. Viking Ocean says, I don't fuel anything, I just go. Lee, what? Lee? Oh, Lee had some Stollen about an hour ago. What's Stollen again? They're like a cake. Yeah, it's kind of a cake, isn't it? And he says, my heart rate is 5 beats per minute more than normal. So what I would recommend with that, if you eat just before you run, just start off really slowly and allow your food time to digest. There's nothing worse than eating late, going straight out to run and running too fast, getting a stitch, or worse, throwing up, whatever it might be. So yeah, when we're running ultra distance races, we will stop at an aid station and we will eat food, or we will grab food and go, and we will walk for a little while we eat food or digest the food that we've eaten, and then we will start running slowly again. And I think that's the way to do it. Viking Ocean says my long runs are usually 26 kilometers. Yeah, so for 26 kilometers, which is around about 16 miles, yeah, I probably wouldn't eat anything. I would probably have some toast before I went out, coffee, and then just run without anything, but really slowly. I mean, if you're running fast, if you're doing fast training, you might need something. But you're not going to do very many fast 26-kilometer training runs, are you? Most of them are going to be nice, easy, relaxed, aerobic base building runs. And yeah, so when you're running a race, and it's a long distance race, when I say long distance, I mean more than a marathon. So on marathons, you know, if you're used to them, you can survive on gels, you don't need a lot more. But more than a marathon, and you're starting to think about eating proper, solid food. So crisps, sandwiches, flapjacks, potatoes, pizza, anything like that is supplied at the aid stations. I tend to go for savoury stuff most of the time, but some people will go for the sweet stuff. Watermelon is a good one as well. Cake. Jaffa cakes are, if I eat anything sweet, Jaffa cakes are a really good one. Fast acting glucose. Gets in the system nice and quick. Clive took a cheese and Marmite sandwich on his run today. How long did you go for, Clive? It was Clive's last long run before his Arc of Attrition 100-mile race coming up in 2 weeks' time. During my last long event, during my first long event, someone handed me a gel, and I had no idea what it was. I didn't know you're supposed to eat it, so I spread it on my sore calf like some horse balm. That is brilliant. That is hilarious. And I mean, absolutely, if you didn't know what a gel was, you could absolutely believe it was some kind of balm to put on an injury. Brilliant. Yeah, it'd be worse the other way round though, wouldn't it? If somebody gave you some cream to put on an injury, Tiger Balm or something like that, and you thought it was a gel, and you ate it. Sarah Jacobson says, only you would say long run distance is more than a marathon. Well, yeah, I mean, marathon is long distance, isn't it? But it's long distance. It's the furthest long distance that I would say you can survive on sugary crap, basically. Which is, yeah, what Victoria does. You know, I think, but many people would argue with that. Many people will survive 50 miles, 100 miles just eating sugar or just consuming things like mountain fuel or tailwind or something like that. But for me, I think I wouldn't want to go. I mean, I don't really eat gels anyway, but I wouldn't want to go more than a marathon without some proper food.
Yeah, I'm a fan of real food. However, it was for Paris Marathon 2021, I trained by eating banana. And it worked for me. I was convinced it was going to be okay. On race day, I had some banana at the aid station. I had terrible stomachache and had to walk for a section. So, just because something works in training, it's not necessarily going to go to plan on race day. Last year, I had those, is it shot blocks? Like gel thing, well, little cubes of jelly. And I cut them up into 3. And then I would have a small piece every 5 kilometres. And it worked well for me. But who knows if it would work in another marathon. There's so many variables. Hello to Theo. Theo says, sorry I can't join. It's dinner time. Enjoy your dinner, Theo. And thanks for popping in. Paul Hayward is suggesting that Clive Finnemore looks up the word taper in the dictionary. Wise words, Paul. But I think Clive will read something different than is printed in the book. Amy's saying that she can just eat all the sugar. Normally sugar just turns my stomach. I cannot consume gels.
Have you just read the Jeff Partridge comment? Hello, Jeff. He says, I can stomach pretty much anything when I'm training, but it all normally goes to rats in a race. Yeah, that's basically, that's the truth of the matter. You can train all you like with all the different kinds of foods that you think you might want in a race. And when it comes to race day, it all goes belly up, literally belly up. And one day, like Victoria just said, one day one thing might work and the next day it doesn't. Or one race, one thing works perfectly, the next race it doesn't. My theory about that is often down to heat. So, and nerves maybe. What you can eat in the winter on a long distance race will change from what you can eat in the summer on a hot long distance race. Jackie Ramos says, I agree with Jeff and Victoria. So yeah, and it really is just about experience and trial and error. Quite often you do get to a stage where you generally know what kind of things work for you. It's not necessarily going to work all the time. But I kind of... The only time I really get sick these days is if it's a really hot race and I consume too much sugar. Go on.
I also agree with Jeff Partridge. He thinks it's down to racing at a higher intensity than training. Yeah, I think a combination of higher intensity, maybe a bit of nerves. Now, I don't know if you concur with this, Jeff, but I've been told that it's a thing that people's stomachs can turn during the night and you can feel sick in all the hours of darkness, and then when the sun comes up you can start taking on food again. I've not actually made it through a night to test that theory. Lee Walker would also like to know what people think about salt tablets on a marathon. Very controversial. Stephen used to take them, doesn't now. I've never tried them.
So yeah, salt tablets is it's a controversial topic, and a lot of people feel anecdotally and through experience that taking salt is a good thing to do. Obviously, salt is an electrolyte. Sodium is one of your electrolytes, and you will lose electrolytes in your sweat when you run. The question is, should you be trying to replace all those electrolytes? And are you actually, although you're sweating out your salt, are you actually decreasing the level of sodium in your blood when that happens? Because you're also sweating water, and obviously water makes up part of your bloodstream. So there was some research done where the evidence suggested that when you run long distance and you sweat, you actually what's the opposite of dilute? Yeah, your blood sodium level becomes more concentrated. So in fact, you don't want to take on salt because you're increasing your blood sodium level even more. However, you can always find alternative studies that prove the opposite. So it is still a hotly contested debate. I used to take salt tablets, and people eat crisps and things like that, salted crisps to replace the salt as well. I don't take salt tablets anymore, but I do eat crisps and I do eat salted food. So I don't know whether that helps or not really. Is somebody talking about cramping as well? Oh no, okay. Because so Victoria's just mentioned cramping as well. Amy Green says she uses salt tablets. Do you think they help you, Amy? The other thing is about cramping. Some people feel that having salt takes away cramping, reduces cramping, and that's a very anecdotal thing. So people will swear that they had cramp, they took salt tablets, the cramp went away. And you can't argue with that. But again, there's very little evidence to suggest that that is true. There's very little evidence to suggest that cramping is due to a lack of sodium. Believe what you want, do all the research you can, and have as much experience as you can, because at the end of the day, it's your experience that counts. And if you feel genuinely that salt takes away your cramps, then go for it. Keep doing it. But like I say, there seems to be very little evidence to prove that that's the case. My thought is that cramping is all to do with training and intensity, and Victoria tends to agree. If you are undertrained for the race that you're doing, or if you're undertrained for the effort that you're doing, you are more likely to cramp up. If you're putting in a really hard effort, something that you've never done before, you're going to cramp up. If you're running further than you've ever run before and you haven't trained properly for it, you are going to cramp up. Yeah.
So Tina's saying she's a very salty sweater. So she either eats crisps or has salt tablets for the faster long runs. I like crisps or Marmite sandwiches. Clive took a cheese and Marmite sandwich to the top of Ben Nevis, had a little picnic up there. Now, interestingly, last summer, Stephen and I had our sweat analysed by Precision Hydration. I'd always assumed I was a salty sweater, but actually I'm not. But it could be that I sweat more, so therefore I am actually losing perhaps as much salt as Stephen, who could be sweating less. But what I now need to do is do a sweat test to work out exactly how much salt I would be losing in an hour.
Heather says, are electrolyte tablets the same as salt tablets? No. So sodium is an electrolyte, but you've also got magnesium and what's the other one? Potassium. And they're all things that you will use up during a run. So an electrolyte tablet, something that dissolves in your water or you just swallow whole. An electrolyte tablet would probably include sodium, potassium and magnesium. Right, yeah, Jeff says cramp is generally to do with having reached the limit of your local muscular endurance, not electrolytes. Yes, that's right. So Jeff Partridge should be presenting this live stream because he's basically just said what we said, but in a very more succinct and well thought out, well worded way. He's probably looked it up on the internet, hasn't he? Cramp is generally to do with having reached the limit of your local muscular endurance. There you go. Hurston says, I always find that at least the nausea is relieved greatly by getting more salt in. I still find I might cramp when I go too fast too soon. Yes, I agree with that. Paul Hayward says, I get cramp on the bike as my muscles are not used to that type of training. Exactly, yes. Yes. Amy says, at least I know why I cramp. Yeah, get training, Amy.
He's asking, are electrolytes in Morton gels? I think so, but in all honesty, I don't actually know. I tried Morton gels and they just made me feel so sick.
Okay, so, yeah, that's another good, interesting question. So, gels, so the kind of things that you take to give you energy during a run, a standard gel does not contain electrolytes. So a standard gel will contain sugar, and sometimes it will contain caffeine. And the reason it contains caffeine is because when you take caffeine, it helps the sugar absorb faster. Or in fact, any substance. If you take it with caffeine, you'll often find paracetamol and caffeine, won't you? Because it helps the sugar absorb faster into your bloodstream. So generally, that's just what gels are. They are only single molecule, fast-acting sugar, high glycemic index. Which on a long distance run is actually not what you want, really. I mean, you might want a bit of that, but on a long distance run, what you want is slow release, multi-molecule, complex carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are sugar as well, but multi-molecule, so complex carbohydrates, which are slow release into your bloodstream, which give you a nice, slow release of energy, like oats, porridge, rice, pasta, potatoes. Although potatoes and white pasta are starchy, aren't they? So and white bread, they're kind of less good, but still better than a load of sugar. So I'm losing my train of thought. Oh yeah, Beachy Head Marathon serves sausage rolls and cups of tea halfway round. So ideally, on a long distance run, you want to be fueling yourself with complex carbohydrates, not simple carbs, which is what you'll get in a gel. Now, some gels and some powders, things like Mountain Fuel and Tailwind, as well as including the carbohydrates, will also include electrolytes. So potassium, magnesium and sodium. Right, Tina says, I do agree with this about cramping. I used to cramp badly, but in latter years, with increased running volume, I don't cramp anymore. So, yeah, that's Tina's experience. Heather says, I took electrolyte tablets during my last marathon and felt my stomach cramps and nausea were better than in the past. Is that just coincidental? No, not necessarily, Heather. I mean, it could be placebo. I don't know enough about the science to say. And again, if you're drinking stuff, if it works, then it works, and you continue to do it. I don't think we don't really know enough about all this yet. I'm just kind of giving you some of the information that I've gleaned over the years and some of the research that I've read or heard about. Certainly with cramping, nobody's entirely sure why we cramp. But there are lots of theories. And again, with the electrolyte thing, a lot of the studies say that up to a point, your performance is not inhibited by dehydration. You can run perfectly well in a slightly dehydrated state. And in fact, you will almost always be in a slightly dehydrated state. You will rarely be able to top up completely all the fluid and electrolytes that you lose. So, but beyond a certain point, your performance does suffer if you are dehydrated. And by dehydration, I don't just mean water. I do mean electrolytes as well.
Clive says you can't beat a nice cup of caffeine coffee at an aid station or a cup of soup. Stephen will agree with you. However, I am with Lee Walker. I am not touching that cup of caffeinated coffee. That would be instant stomach turn for me. I can have a nice cup of tea, but don't give me coffee anywhere near a race. Dustin Sussburn says mashed potatoes and an energy drink is an explosive mixture. See, I would have mashed potatoes happily. But it's like Coca-Cola. I normally cannot stand the stuff. But in a marathon or ultra, I absolutely love it. It's really strange. Yes, Yoko, we need a chemistry book tonight.
Yoko, I hear your pain. I understand. Yeah, often it can be quite confusing. And you do need a chemistry book to work all this stuff out. Which is why you probably shouldn't bother. Just eat what you can when you can. Learn the stuff that your body can digest and use, and go with that. It will take years of experience and learning and trial and error, but I don't think any one person can tell you what you should eat on your long runs, because honestly, everyone is different. Paul Doyle says the official Tokyo Marathon drink is Pocari Sweat. And Jackie Ramos says Pocari tastes, she says it feels like I'm drinking sweat. Ugh. Pocari Sweat, I'll have to look that up. Has anyone ever drunk Pocari Sweat? Because it sounds awful. Right, let's just have a look at the run at the moment. We are on 6.5 kilometres just about. We have just over 20 minutes to go, 21 minutes to go. Paul Doyle drank it, this Pocari Sweat, in the 2019 Tokyo Marathon. And what did you think of it, Paul? Yeah, so we're 6.5k in, and just about 21 minutes to go of our run. Here, these are the Paris Marathon training runs. Paul Dawes says he loved it. The Makuri sweat. And Jackie Ramos says it's quite neutral with electrolytes.
So for me, when it comes to ultras, I know that I don't take on board enough calories. And I've really got to work at this. In UTS 50k, I was convinced I'd eaten far more than I actually had. And when I finished, I found a whole load of food still in my race vest. It's probably part of the reason why I felt so sick towards the end, was because I hadn't eaten enough.
Yoko says Makuri is nice. Lee Walker goes, ew. Right, heart rate. So, I have managed to stay in zone 1 all the way. We are going nice and slowly, nice and easy. 9 kilometers an hour. So that is 6 minutes 40 per kilometer. So we are not breaking any records. This is nice and relaxed. We're just getting the miles in our legs, the time on our feet, and we are building mitochondria and capillaries to transport and store oxygen and energy, which will be there and available for us when we do faster running.
Has anyone run Marathon de Médoc in France? It's in the Médoc wine region, and I believe they serve wine at every aid station. This is interesting. Sarah Jacobson says she ate way more than she usually does at the Disney and felt better than she ever has done during previous marathons. So she needs to say to herself, just eat more. Lee Walker is now considering switching his Manchester Marathon entry to Marathon de Médoc. Not if you want a PB, Lee. White Star Running in Dorset, they run trail marathons and ultras, and traditionally at mile 20 they have what's called the Love Station, and they serve snacks. Jeff Partridge says Médoc is on the list, but he's not that keen on French wines. Jeff, I guess you could take your own hip flask with your Spanish wine. Have a little water flask and fill it up with some Shiraz. Whoop.
Right, Victoria has knocked her emergency stop out, so she's going to have to start the treadmill up again. And now that means she's going to have to run really quick to catch back up to us. Well, just start moving and see if you start moving. You are, I can see you here, look. You are moving, yeah. Okay. Right, yeah, Victoria's started up again now. She's going a bit quicker to catch up to the back of us. She's so excited talking about eating food that she knocked the emergency stop cord out.
Apologies, Jeff. He much prefers New World wines than the Spanish.
Tina Beard says lots of races down here serve cider at the aid stations. There you go. Yeah, but were you just talking about White Star running in schnapps, and I'm sure they had rum at one aid station or something like that. Oh, I've got hiccups now. You're 6 seconds behind, Victoria. Lee Walker says, I learned a lesson about using the emergency cable yesterday. A foam roller went under the back of my treadmill and lifted my treadmill up, and I went flying. Yeah. Well, I mean, we are very lazy and probably breaking a number of health and safety things. You've caught up, by the way. You're now 2 seconds ahead. Victoria's now racing us. I don't attach my emergency cable. In fact, don't ever do this, but I have actually cut my emergency cable off so that I don't catch it. Victoria's emergency cable is still attached there, but she hasn't got it attached to herself. Now we should toe the party line and always advise that you do wear the emergency cable, just in case something like what happened to Lee Walker happens to you. But yeah, I have to admit that we do not attach our emergency cable.
Paul Hayward learnt his lesson from drinking cider in his 20s. And what lesson would that be, Paul? He says it was a bad night. Tina has been there with gin. I have been there with Ricard.
Paul Doyle says, I went flying off the treadmill once. Well, you can't leave it at that, Paul. You'll have to explain what happened. So, 15 minutes to go, 14 minutes to go. And my heart rate is 111 BPM, comfortably in zone 1. Still, we're on 7.5 kilometres here in the Beacon group. Victoria's at heart rate 131. Paul Doyle says he tripped. So he was on the treadmill and went flying once he tripped. I've caught myself on the treadmill a number of times when I've kind of stepped on the edge. And I've nearly gone flying, but I have never, touch wood, I have never flown off the back of a treadmill.
My friend was at a gym once and his shoelace came undone. He forgot he was on the treadmill. He bent down to do his shoelace up and went flying off the back. And he said he really hurt himself, but he was so embarrassed that he just picked himself up and got back on the treadmill.
Well, do you know what? Sometimes you think you've heard all the stories that your partner can tell you. I've never heard that story from Victoria before. So that's a new one on me. Right, well done everybody. Keep going. So we've still got Jackie Ramos, Tom Cool, Paul Doyle, Paul Hayward, Yoko, Amy Green, Ian Balshaw. I've met my 50-kilometre weekly Zwift goal. Just flashed up on the screen there. Starks, MT, CCNJ is still with us. Raber is with us. Nguyen is with us. Lee Walker is just up there ahead as well. So thank you very much everyone for joining. I'm just actually going to go on and drop a load of ride-ons on your heads if you don't mind me doing that. .3 in shed quarters. It's feeling a tad warm. I don't know why Stephen has still got his jumper on.
feeling overheated. Clive Finnemore says, I've only fell off the treadmill once, and that was when I turned over during my sleep. Jeff Partridge says 18 degrees in his van. The van we're not talking about, Jeff.
Right, Clive is asking why I'm haunched over the treadmill. Okay, so if you look at my top-down view, you can see I now have an iPad with all the chat on it. Now, it makes it easier to see the chat. However, I'm realising that because the microphone is kind of shoved into the treadmill, the top of the treadmill, it can't hear me very well. So I'm having to bend down to talk into the iPad. Now, I could switch it sideways, but that would then mean the screen with the chat on goes basically as small as it is on my iPhone. So I have to find a way around that somehow. But yeah, that's why I'm haunched over the treadmill.
Paul Hayward says it's 16.1 degrees in the real Gloucestershire. In his garage. The real Gloucestershire as opposed to the fake South Gloucestershire. Jeff Partridge.
Controversial.
Oh, that is very controversial.
No, it's you being controversial. I never said anything. Jeff Partridge, I want you to know that I never said anything about South Gloucestershire and whether it is real or not. My wife is the guilty party here.
Jeff deserves everything he's hearing tonight. He's now saying it was 21 degrees when he put his heater on.
In that lovely van.
In that van.
You're not
that I'm not envious of at all. Tina Beard is toasty warm by her wood burner.
Clive Finnemore says, yeah, Bluetooth mic to the iPad. Yeah, but then you see, if I plug a Bluetooth mic into the bottom of the iPad, it won't sit comfortably in the rack. Now, actually, there's another option though. I wonder if it would work if I turned it upside down. There's only one way to find out, isn't there? Mind you, if I do it now, I'll drop it and break it, so I'll do it at the end. I'm going to turn the iPad upside down and see if that helps. The only other problem with having the iPad here is that if I'm running fast and I need the fan on, all the air from the fan is going to be blocked by the iPad. So this may in fact be a temporary thing. It's a work in progress, let's put it that way. We have 7 minutes to go of the Paris Marathon long run training. We are doing 65 minutes today. Next week, we up it by another 5 minutes to 70 minutes. So we are slowly increasing our weekly long run mileage, as well as doing our fast interval session on a Wednesday. And then I trust if you are training for a spring marathon or Paris Marathon itself, that you are putting in some other miles either on Zwift or outside. But as long as you're getting a long run in and some interval training and then filling the rest of your week with good quality mileage, then that's all good. So thank you very much to everyone who's run today. Appreciate it. I think we had about 20 runners sign up, 22, 23 runners sign up, so that's nice. We've been getting really good support on the interval session on a Wednesday. Over 50 runners signing up. So that's great. So if we can keep that going for the next 10 weeks, we would really appreciate it, and you will get some great training in for whatever you're training. I mean, even if you're just training for a 10k or a half marathon, interval training, even a 5k, interval training is always going to help you. So we are doing some tough sessions on a Wednesday, but it's all worth it. Yeah, Paul Hayward can go for his 5k PB at the end of the 12-week training program. And who else was going to do a mile effort? Sebastian was going to try for his fastest mile at the end of our training period. Tina's got a long run tomorrow. She's running for 105 minutes on the Ilminster to Chard cycle path. Very nice too. All right. Clive Finnemore has says, I have just tried with my iPad. Somebody is at our front door. It's just some... No, I think that's... I think it's a salesman or like a... Oh, yeah, okay.
Sorry, Stephen's running to try and catch the postman. Jeff Partridge has his long run tomorrow. Jeff. And the day after. And the day after that. And the day after that. Yeah, best of luck, Jeff, for that. I have the utmost respect for you. And we look forward to dot watching. We're all rooting for you. Yeah, Tina Beard says, yes, Jeff, and all week. I just can't imagine running for that long.
It's new shoe day. My first ever pair of spikes. I've been doing a couple of cross-country runs, and even wearing mud claws, it can sometimes be a bit dicey. So I thought I'd try out some spikes, and also it might be good to use them on the track as well. So I have got some New Balance spikes from sportshoes.com. They have literally just arrived. Victoria says, I now need to purchase some spikes to go in them. So will they definitely not have spikes already in them then? Paul Hayward, headline, new shoes have arrived. Jeff Partridge says, I can't believe you've not had spikes before. Well, why would I ever need spikes, Jeff? I'm an ultra runner. I rarely do cross country and I rarely do track. We're sorry? No, we were not, we weren't runners as kids. So, yeah. I've never had a pair of spikes. I've never really thought to buy any, but just recently, because Ellis, my son, has started track training, he's got spikes. Elsa's got spikes for javelin. And so it's been on our minds a bit more. And then running cross country the past couple of times has been really, really muddy. And I've felt maybe spikes would have helped. So, Lee Walker says, thanks all for the run. 1 minute to go. Let me just say goodbye to everyone on the game.
Yeah, thank you and well done for everyone has run tonight or joined in on the live stream. It really does make these runs far more pleasurable in the company of lots of people. On Thursday, I did a mind-numbingly boring treadmill run looking at a blank screen. This is far more interesting, entertaining, fun, whatever you call it. John Farrell says, well done all. Thank you, John. Clive Finnemore, well done everyone. Cheers, Stephen and Victoria. Thank you, Clive. Jeff Partridge says, see you all week after next, team. Yeah, we look forward to the update, Jeff. Have a good one. And remember, don't be. Thank you, Amy. Tina, yes, that hunching needs addressing. That's a recipe for an injury. Clive says, have a good weekend, everyone. See you all next week. Paul Hayward is going to run on. Thank you, Paul. Glad you enjoyed the run. We're just going to round up to 10k and then stop.
Yeah, 30 seconds to go just to get to 10k. Because we are anal like that. Oh, and we also get more XP if we round it up to 10k, so that's what we're doing. Points mean prizes. Guys, look out for the new update coming in January. There will be stuff for runners. We've been promised for the last few months now. We've been promised new things for runners. And we are very confident that something is coming for us in January. Yes, you are. So, we are there. Thank you, Lee, for waiting for us. Appreciate that. So, 10k done. Well done, everyone. Good work. Good work. Well done, everyone. So we will see you all for more Paris Marathon training next week. Like I said, we will go up to 70 minutes next week, another 5 minutes on the clock for next week. And interval training on Wednesday. So Paris Marathon interval training on Wednesday. Don't forget that. Sign up now or remember that. And in terms of other Zwift Run channel events, well, we are getting more and more packed. As the weeks go on. Clive Finnemore is doing a heck of a lot of work for us. Monday community run. Clive Finnemore will be live streaming that for you. Every lunchtime on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday, Clive is doing the MHG Run Club. So join Clive for that if you can. Tuesday morning and Thursday morning, I am doing the Film My Run 500. It's a 500 meter climb with 12% of elevation on your treadmill. Thursday evening, we have Bag That Badge. If you've got route achievement badges that you still need to get, try and join us on a Thursday for Bag That Badge. And then on Tuesday, what do we do on Tuesday? I don't think we've got anything set for Tuesday evening, have we? Oh yeah. I want to go to club on a Tuesday evening, but so does Victoria. So we have a bit of a fight on our hands for Tuesday evenings. But no doubt we'll do something on Tuesday and something on Friday as well. And then we've got Chris Beale who live streamed this afternoon. So Saturday afternoon, Chris Beale live streaming. This week he did stage 2 of the Tour of Watopia. If you've not got on Tour of Watopia yet, get on it now. There will be catch-up days or a catch-up week at the end of the Tour of Watopia. So any stage that you miss, you can catch up. But get on it now. We are on stage 2. Stage 1 has gone. Stage 2 is starting now. Get on it and get some extra swag in your garage. So that's it from me and Victoria. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you and bye to Amy. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, good luck with the spine we will be following. Paul Haywood, thank you. Clive Finnimore, Tina, John Farrell. Yoko, I nearly said Yoko Ono then. Yoko, thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support. Thank you all members, by the way, all members of the Zwift Run channel and the Film My Run channel. Really appreciate your support. If you're not a member and you'd like to contribute to the channel, go to the Zwift Run channel or the Film My Run channel on YouTube on a computer. Best do it on a computer, not your phone. And become a member for as little as £1 or $1 a month. And that's it. So we will see you. Are we doing anything tomorrow? We're off tomorrow, aren't we? You could stream. Victoria wants to do stage 2 of Tour of Watopia, so Victoria might do a live stream tomorrow on her own. But that's it from me until Tuesday morning when we do Film My Run 500. So look out for Victoria tomorrow and Clive on Monday on the Zwift Run channel, and we will see you then. Take care, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thanks for taking part. Bye-bye.